Did you know there are places in the world where being 60 feels more like being 40, where your age becomes irrelevant to how you live, and where the concept of retirement means adventure rather than winding down? I'm Julia, and today we're exploring 5 incredible countries where aging seems to have stopped, where 60-year-olds are hiking mountains, starting businesses, finding love, and living with an energy that would exhaust people half their age. By the end of this video, you'll understand why thousands of people are relocating to these longevity hotspots and how you might join them. Let me paint you a picture that'll resonate with many of you watching this. You're approaching 60, or maybe you're already there. Back in your home country, whether that's the United States, the UK, Canada, or Australia, you've started noticing something unsettling. People treat you differently. Younger colleagues at work assume you're not tech-savvy. Store clerks speak louder and slower. Your doctor keeps talking about age-appropriate activities. There's this subtle but persistent message that your active, vibrant years are behind you, that it's time to slow down, scale back, and gracefully fade into the background of life. Now imagine something completely different. You step off a plane in one of these 5 countries I'm about to share with you. Within days, you notice something remarkable. That stiffness you've been feeling in your joints starts to ease. You're sleeping better than you have in years. Your energy levels surge. You look around and see people your age and older hiking, dancing, working, dating, and living with a vitality that seemed impossible back home. Nobody's treating you like you're fragile or past your prime. You're just another person living life, and suddenly 60 doesn't feel like a limitation anymore. It feels like a liberation. What's happening here isn't magic, though it might feel like it. It's the result of multiple factors converging: environmental, cultural, dietary, social, and lifestyle factors that create conditions where aging simply works differently. These aren't fountain of youth fairy tales. These are real places with documented populations of healthy, active older adults who are statistically living longer and better than their counterparts in Western countries. And the beautiful thing is that when you move to these places, you tend to adopt the same patterns and experience similar benefits, regardless of where you came from. Before we dive into the specific countries, let's talk about what I mean by aging just stopped. Obviously, time continues passing, and biological aging continues at the cellular level. What I'm talking about is the dramatic difference in how aging manifests functionally and experientially. In these 5 countries, people in their 60s commonly have the physical capability, mental sharpness, social engagement, and life satisfaction that people in their 40s have in many Western countries. The decline that we've come to accept as inevitable, the loss of mobility, the social isolation, the sense that life's best moments are behind you, simply doesn't happen the same way in these places. Research into longevity and healthy aging has identified several key factors that these countries share. First, they have diets based on whole foods, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, fish, and healthy fats, with minimal processed foods. Second, they have cultures that value and include older adults, rather than segregating them or treating them as burdens. Third, they have built environments that encourage daily physical activity through walking, stairs, and active transportation, rather than car dependency. Fourth, they have strong social connections and community bonds that provide purpose and support throughout life. Fifth, they have lower stress levels due to slower pace of life, better work-life balance, and cultural attitudes that don't glorify constant productivity. When you combine these factors, something remarkable happens. Your body responds to the better diet, more movement, lower stress, and stronger social connections by functioning better. Inflammation decreases, sleep improves, mood stabilizes, energy increases. And this creates a positive feedback loop where you feel good so you do more, which makes you feel even better, which enables you to do even more. People who move to these countries in their 50s and 60s often report feeling like they've turned back the clock by 10 or even 20 years. Now let's dive into the 5 countries where this phenomenon is most pronounced, where 60 truly can feel like 40, and where aging seems to have become optional. Our first stop is Costa Rica, and specifically the Nicoya Peninsula, one of the world's 5 blue zones, where people live measurably longer and healthier lives than almost anywhere else on Earth. When researchers study the centenarians of Nicoya, they find people in their 90s and 100s who still work their farms, walk miles daily, have active social lives, and maintain sharp mental function. But what's even more interesting for those of us not yet centenarians is what life looks like for people in their 60s and 70s in this region. Costa Rica has a cultural concept called pura vida that translates literally to pure life, but means so much more. It's a philosophy of living fully in the present, appreciating what you have, not stressing about what you can't control, and finding joy in simple pleasures. This isn't just a tourist slogan. It's a genuine cultural attitude that shapes how Costa Ricans approach life, including aging. There's no cultural narrative that life ends at retirement. Instead, there's an understanding that life continues evolving, with each stage bringing its own possibilities and pleasures. The Nicoya Peninsula specifically has several factors that contribute to healthy aging. The water is naturally high in calcium and magnesium, which supports bone health. The tropical climate means year-round warmth and sunshine, providing vitamin D and encouraging outdoor activity. The traditional diet centers on beans, corn tortillas, squash, tropical fruits, and small amounts of meat, providing excellent nutrition without excess calories or processed ingredients. The landscape is hilly, so daily life involves physical exertion just getting around. And perhaps most importantly, extended families live close together and older adults remain integral to family and community life rather than being isolated. I know a woman named Patricia from Seattle who moved to the Nicoya Peninsula at age 62 after retiring from a stressful corporate career. Back in Seattle, she'd been experiencing chronic joint pain, was on medication for high blood pressure and cholesterol, felt exhausted most of the time, and honestly felt like she was just managing decline. Within 6 months of moving to Nicoya, her story changed dramatically. She started walking everywhere because that's just how you get around. She adopted the local diet of beans, rice, fresh fruits, and vegetables because that's what's available and affordable. She made friends with her neighbors, who included her in social activities and community events. She started volunteering at a local school teaching English to kids. 2 years later, Patricia had lost 30 pounds without trying, was off all her medications with her doctor's supervision, had energy she hadn't experienced in decades, and told me she felt 20 years younger. She's now 67, takes salsa dancing lessons, goes on regular hikes to waterfalls, has an active social calendar, and recently started a small business leading eco-tours for English-speaking visitors. When she returns to Seattle to visit family, people can't believe the transformation. And here's the key. Patricia isn't some exceptional athlete or health fanatic. She's just a regular person whose body responded to better conditions by functioning better. Costa Rica offers several practical advantages beyond the health benefits. It's politically stable with a long democratic tradition and no military. It has a good healthcare system that's affordable even for expats without insurance. The cost of living is reasonable, especially outside the main tourist areas, with many expats living comfortably on $1,500 to $2,000 monthly. The climate is warm year-round, with distinct dry and rainy seasons. There's an established expat community, particularly around Tamarindo, Nosara, and the Central Valley, so you can find English speakers and support networks while also integrating into local culture. The visa situation is manageable with tourists allowed 90 days, after which many people do a quick border run to Nicaragua or Panama and return for another 90 days. For longer-term residents, there are various visa options, including the pensionado visa for retirees with pension income of at least $1,000 monthly. The bureaucracy can be slow and frustrating, very typical of Latin America, but it's navigable, especially with help from lawyers who specialize in expat issues. The lifestyle in Costa Rica, particularly in areas like Nicoya, is relaxed and outdoor-focused. Your days might include morning walks or swims, fresh fruit and coffee for breakfast, errands on foot or bike, lunch as the main meal, afternoons spent reading or socializing, evenings with neighbors or friends, and regular participation in community events. It's not a fast-paced, accomplishment-driven lifestyle. It's about being present, enjoying simple pleasures, maintaining connections, and living in harmony with the natural environment. For people coming from high-stress Western lifestyles, this shift can feel uncomfortable at first, but becomes deeply satisfying once you adjust. Now let's travel across the world to our second country, Japan. This might seem like an unexpected choice because Japan is a developed, expensive country, not a cheap retirement haven. But when it comes to healthy aging and older adults living vibrant, active lives, Japan is absolutely in a category of its own. Japan has the longest life expectancy in the world and more centenarians per capita than almost anywhere else. But beyond just living longer, older Japanese people tend to maintain remarkable physical and cognitive function well into their 80s and 90s. The Japanese have a concept called ikigai, which roughly translates to reason for being. It's the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be rewarded for. Importantly, ikigai doesn't stop at retirement. Japanese people continue finding purpose and meaning throughout their lives, whether through work, hobbies, volunteering, or family roles. This sense of purpose is one of the most powerful predictors of healthy aging. People with strong ikigai have lower rates of cardiovascular disease, better cognitive function, and longer lifespans. Another key Japanese concept is hara hachibu, eating until you're 80% full rather than stuffed. This practice of mild caloric restriction without malnutrition is one of the most scientifically validated interventions for longevity. Combined with a traditional Japanese diet high in fish, vegetables, soy products, seaweed and green tea, and low in red meat, sugar, and processed foods, this eating pattern supports healthy aging in multiple ways. Japanese cities are incredibly walkable with excellent public transportation. Daily life typically involves considerable walking, stair climbing, and general movement. Older Japanese people walk to shops, take trains and buses, and remain physically active as part of routine life rather than needing to schedule exercise. This constant low-level activity, what researchers call NEAT or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, adds up to significant health benefits without requiring gym memberships or intense workouts. But perhaps what's most striking about aging in Japan is the social integration of older adults. Multi-generational living is common, with grandparents often living with or very close to their adult children and grandchildren. Older adults are respected for their experience and wisdom. They participate fully in community life, attend social groups and classes, volunteer, and remain engaged and connected. The intense social isolation that plagues older adults in many Western countries is much less common in Japan. I know a man named Robert from Chicago who moved to a small city outside Kyoto at age 58 when his wife got a job transfer. He was skeptical at first, worried about the language barrier and cultural differences, but he quickly discovered that aging in Japan meant something completely different than aging in America. He joined a local community center where older adults gathered for various activities, exercise classes, calligraphy, traditional crafts, language exchange. Despite limited Japanese language skills initially, he was welcomed and included. Robert adopted many Japanese lifestyle patterns. He walked everywhere instead of driving. He ate smaller portions of healthier foods. He developed a routine of daily activities that gave structure and purpose to his days. He made Japanese friends through his community center who included him in social activities. Now at 65, Robert is in better shape than he was at 50. He walks 5 to 7 miles daily just as part of normal life. His weight is healthy. His annual health checks show excellent cardiovascular and metabolic markers. He's learned conversational Japanese. He has an active social life with regular gatherings and activities. Robert tells me that in Chicago, turning 60 felt like crossing into old age. People's expectations shifted. Social invitations decreased. He felt increasingly invisible and irrelevant. In Japan, his age is unremarkable. He's just another person living life, participating in community, pursuing interests, and contributing to society. The difference in how he feels, physically and emotionally, is profound. He credits the Japanese lifestyle with giving him a second youth, a chance to experience his 60s in a way that would have been impossible in America. Now, Japan isn't for everyone. The language barrier is real, and Japanese is genuinely difficult for English speakers to learn. The culture is quite different from Western cultures with different social norms around politeness, hierarchy, and behavior. The cost of living is high in major cities like Tokyo and Osaka, though more reasonable in smaller cities and rural areas. The visa situation is challenging as Japan doesn't have simple retirement visas, though there are options through business investment, cultural activities, or spouse visas for those married to Japanese nationals. But for those who can navigate these challenges, Japan offers something unique, a developed, safe, efficient country with world-class infrastructure and healthcare where aging is treated as a natural continuation of life rather than a decline into irrelevance. The combination of excellent healthcare, healthy lifestyle patterns, social integration, and cultural respect for older adults creates conditions where 60 truly can feel like 40. Our third country takes us to the Mediterranean, Greece. The Greek islands, particularly Ikaria, represent another of the world's blue zones where people routinely live into their 90s and 100s while maintaining remarkable health and vitality. But beyond just longevity, Greek culture and lifestyle create conditions where people in their 60s and 70s remain active, socially connected, and engaged with life in ways that seem almost impossible in most Western countries. The Mediterranean diet, and particularly the way it's actually practiced in places like Ikaria, is one of the world's healthiest eating patterns. It's not about olive oil and wine as luxury products, it's about a whole pattern of eating. Lots of vegetables, legumes, whole grains, fish, olive oil as the primary fat, moderate dairy mostly as cheese and yogurt, small amounts of meat and wine in moderation with meals. Meals are social events, eaten slowly with family or friends, not rushed affairs or eating alone in front of screens. The social aspect of eating might be as important as the nutritional content. Greek lifestyle, especially on the islands and in smaller towns, involves constant movement. The terrain is hilly and mountainous, so walking anywhere means climbing. Many older Greeks keep gardens, tend olive groves, or do other forms of physical work that keeps them active. The warm climate encourages outdoor activity year-round. Life happens outside in public squares, cafes, and parks, rather than inside isolated homes. This combination of constant movement and outdoor living contributes to physical health and well-being. But what really sets Greece apart is the social culture. Greeks are extraordinarily social people with strong family bonds and community ties. Older adults are integral to family life, often living with or very close to their children and grandchildren, actively involved in childcare, cooking, and household management. They're not warehoused in retirement homes or spending days alone watching television. They're participating fully in family and community life. Social gatherings, whether family meals, coffee with friends, or village festivals, provide constant social engagement and sense of belonging. The concept of pareia, loosely translated as a group of friends who gather regularly, is central to Greek social life. These aren't formal appointments, but spontaneous gatherings in cafes or homes where people talk, laugh, eat, and enjoy each other's company. Older Greeks maintain these social connections throughout their lives, providing emotional support, intellectual stimulation, and sense of purpose. The loneliness and isolation that poison so many older adults' lives in countries like the US and UK are largely absent in traditional Greek communities. I know a couple, Margaret and John from London, who moved to Crete at ages 61 and 63 respectively. They'd both retired from demanding careers, had some savings but not huge amounts, and wanted a different life than what they saw ahead in England. They bought a small house in a village outside Chania for a price that wouldn't have bought a parking space in London. They started learning Greek, slowly and imperfectly, but consistently. They made friends with their neighbors through a combination of friendliness, humility, and persistence. 5 years later, their life has been transformed. They walk several miles daily, just living their lives, going to shops, visiting friends, tending their garden. They eat fresh vegetables from their garden and the local market, fish from the harbor, olive oil from a neighbor's trees. They have coffee most mornings with a group of neighbors at the village cafe. They've been adopted by a Greek family who includes them in Sunday meals and holiday celebrations. They go to festivals and celebrations. They help with olive harvest. They've become genuinely part of the community. Margaret told me that in London, they'd been shrinking into old age. Their social circle was diminishing as friends moved away or died. Their physical activity was decreasing. They felt increasingly marginal and irrelevant. In Crete, they feel alive and engaged. They're learning and growing. They have purpose through community involvement and relationships. Their health has improved dramatically, with Margaret's chronic arthritis pain substantially reduced and John's blood pressure normalized. They look and feel a decade younger than when they left England. Greece offers several practical advantages for older adults looking to relocate. It's in the European Union with good healthcare available, though the quality varies by location, with better options in cities like Athens, Thessaloniki, and Heraklion. The cost of living is quite reasonable, especially outside Athens, with many expats living comfortably on 1,500 to 2,000 euros monthly, including rent. The climate is warm and sunny most of the year, with hot, dry summers and mild winters. The culture is welcoming to foreigners, especially those who make efforts to learn the language and integrate. The visa situation for non-EU citizens requires navigating Greek bureaucracy, which can be challenging, but there are options including the Golden Visa program for property investors and retirement visas for those with guaranteed income. EU citizens can live and work freely in Greece. The language is definitely a barrier, as Greek is quite different from English and not widely spoken in smaller communities, but Greeks generally appreciate efforts to learn even basic phrases. Life in Greece, particularly on the islands or in smaller mainland towns, is slow-paced and relationship-focused. Success isn't measured by accomplishments or wealth, but by quality of relationships and enjoyment of life. For people coming from achievement-oriented, materialistic cultures, this can require a significant mental shift. But for those who make that shift, Greece offers the possibility of aging in a way that feels natural, integrated, and genuinely enjoyable, rather than being a process of decline and isolation. Our fourth country might surprise you: Portugal. While Portugal doesn't have the same ancient longevity traditions as some other countries on this list, it's emerged in recent years as an incredible destination for healthy, active aging. Portuguese culture, lifestyle, and practical factors combine to create conditions where people in their 60s and beyond can live remarkably vibrant lives. Portugal has a Mediterranean climate similar to Greece, with sunny, warm weather most of the year, particularly in the south. The diet is similar to other Mediterranean countries, with lots of fish, vegetables, olive oil, legumes, and whole grains. Portuguese cities and towns are extremely walkable, built before cars and maintaining that pedestrian-friendly character. Public transportation is excellent and affordable. The pace of life is relaxed without the constant rush and pressure of Northern European countries or North America. What makes Portugal particularly attractive is the combination of European infrastructure and safety with affordability that's vanished from most of Western Europe. Healthcare is good and much cheaper than in countries like the US or even UK private care. Rent outside Lisbon and Porto is quite reasonable. Daily living expenses, food, transportation, utilities are modest. You can live very comfortably in Portugal on 2,000 to 2,500 euros monthly, or even less if you're frugal and live outside major cities. Portuguese people are generally friendly and welcoming to foreigners, particularly those who make efforts to learn Portuguese and integrate into local communities. There's an established expat community, especially around Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve, providing support networks and English-speaking social opportunities while also allowing integration into Portuguese culture. This balance of having expat support while also being able to connect with local culture makes the transition much easier than moving to more culturally closed countries. The Portuguese government has actively encouraged foreign retirees through programs like the non-habitual resident tax regime, which offers significant tax benefits for foreign retirees for 10 years. While this program has been modified recently, Portugal remains committed to attracting foreign residents and investment. The D7 visa for passive income earners makes it relatively straightforward for retirees with pension or investment income to establish residency. After 5 years of legal residence, you can apply for permanent residence or even citizenship. I know a woman named Linda from Toronto who moved to Porto at age 64. She'd been widowed 2 years earlier and found herself rattling around a large house in the suburbs, increasingly isolated as her working friends had little time and she lacked the energy and motivation to maintain her previous active life. She felt like she was just waiting to get older, and the prospect was depressing. On impulse, Linda took a 2-week trip to Portugal. She fell in love with Porto's beauty, walkability, and vibrant culture. Within 6 months, she'd sold her house in Toronto, applied for a D7 visa, and moved to a sunny apartment in Porto's Foz district near the beach. The transformation has been remarkable. Porto's walkability means Linda walks 3 to 5 miles daily, just living her life, going to markets, meeting friends, exploring neighborhoods. She joined a language exchange group and hiking club. She takes classes in Portuguese cooking and tile painting. She's made both expat and Portuguese friends. Linda's health has improved significantly. She lost weight naturally through walking and eating better. Her mood lifted as she built new social connections and daily routines. Her previous sense of marking time until death has been replaced by engagement with life. She's learning and growing. She's having adventures. She feels relevant and connected. At 67 now, she tells me she has more energy and optimism than she did at 55 in Toronto. The combination of walkable environment, good weather, healthy food, lower stress, and active social life has given her what she calls a second adulthood, a chance to reinvent herself and live fully, rather than just managing decline. Portugal offers something unique: European quality of life, infrastructure, and safety at a cost that's accessible to people with modest retirement incomes or savings. You're not roughing it in a developing country or giving up modern amenities. You're living in a beautiful, civilized, safe country with excellent wine, great food, rich culture, and perfect weather. And you're doing it in an environment that encourages and supports healthy, active aging. The Portuguese lifestyle is inherently healthy without requiring discipline or sacrifice. You walk because that's how you get around. You eat well because good, fresh food is available and affordable. You socialize because Portuguese culture is social and welcoming. You relax because the culture values work-life balance and enjoying life rather than constant productivity. Simply by living normally in Portugal, you adopt patterns that support healthy aging. Our fifth and final country takes us back across the Atlantic to another Central American gem, Nicaragua. Now, Nicaragua gets much less attention than Costa Rica in the retirement and expat world, partly because of political instability and concerns about governance. But for those willing to navigate these challenges, Nicaragua offers something remarkable: a combination of natural beauty, affordability, and lifestyle factors that support extraordinarily healthy aging. Nicaragua has beautiful geography from Pacific beaches to volcanic highlands to Caribbean coast. The climate varies by elevation from tropical heat at sea level to eternal spring in the highlands. The traditional Nicaraguan diet is based on beans, rice, corn tortillas, tropical fruits, and small amounts of meat and fish, providing good nutrition without the processed foods and excess calories that plague Western diets. What makes Nicaragua special for aging is the combination of active lifestyle and strong community bonds. In smaller Nicaraguan towns and rural areas, life involves constant movement. People walk everywhere. They tend gardens. They do physical work. The mountainous terrain means that daily life involves climbing. This constant low-level activity keeps people mobile and functional well into old age. And the strong extended family and community bonds mean that older adults remain integrated into family and social life rather than being isolated. The cost of living in Nicaragua is remarkably low, even compared to already affordable countries like Costa Rica and Portugal. You can live comfortably in many parts of Nicaragua on $1,000 to $1,200 monthly, and even less if you're willing to live simply and locally. This affordability takes enormous stress and worry out of daily life, which itself contributes to healthy aging. When you're not constantly worried about money, when you can afford healthcare and daily needs comfortably, your stress levels drop and your health improves. I know a couple, Bill and Susan from Arizona, who moved to Granada, Nicaragua at ages 65 and 62. They'd retired with small pensions and modest savings, nowhere near enough to maintain their Arizona lifestyle. They were facing the prospect of downsizing significantly and struggling financially. Instead, they decided to try something radical and moved to Nicaragua. In Granada, their modest income goes far. They rent a beautiful colonial house with high ceilings, tile floors, and a courtyard garden for $600 monthly. They eat out several times a week at good restaurants for just a few dollars per meal. They have a housekeeper twice weekly. They travel within Central America regularly. Their healthcare is affordable with doctor's visits costing $15 to $20 and medications a fraction of US prices. But beyond the financial benefits, Bill and Susan have experienced a transformation in their health and vitality. They walk everywhere in Granada's compact, walkable historic center. They go to their local market daily for fresh produce. They've made friends with neighbors and other expats. They volunteer teaching English to local kids. They take salsa dancing lessons. They go on weekend trips to volcanoes, beaches, and colonial towns. Bill, who'd been experiencing declining mobility and had resigned himself to increasing limitation, has regained function and strength through daily walking and staying active. Susan's chronic stress and anxiety, which had been treated with medication for years, has largely resolved. She's off her anxiety medication under her doctor's supervision. They both feel like they've been given a new lease on life, a chance to experience their 60s and 70s actively and joyfully rather than just managing decline. Nicaragua isn't without challenges. The political situation can be unstable with periodic protests and government crackdowns. Crime exists, though violent crime against foreigners is relatively rare. Infrastructure is less developed than Costa Rica or Portugal, with roads, internet, and utilities less reliable. Healthcare is basic outside major cities, though adequate for routine needs and much more affordable than the US. But for those willing to accept these challenges, Nicaragua offers something precious: the ability to live well on very little money in a beautiful country with a lifestyle that naturally supports healthy aging. The constant movement, healthy local food, strong social connections, lower stress from financial security, and engagement with life all contribute to older adults thriving rather than just surviving. Now, let's talk about some common factors across all 5 of these countries that create conditions for healthy aging. Understanding these patterns can help you evaluate whether these countries might work for you and how to maximize the benefits if you do relocate. First, all 5 countries have cultures that value and integrate older adults rather than segregating or marginalizing them. In Costa Rica, Japan, Greece, Portugal, and Nicaragua, older people are seen as valued family and community members with experience and wisdom to contribute. They're not shunted off to retirement communities or treated as burdens. This social integration provides purpose, meaning, and connections that are essential for healthy aging. Second, all 5 have built environments that encourage movement and activity as part of daily life. Whether it's the hilly terrain of Nicoya and Greece, the walkable cities of Japan and Portugal, or the active lifestyle of Nicaragua, daily life involves physical activity without requiring gym memberships or structured exercise. This constant, low-level movement is one of the most powerful predictors of healthy aging, more important than intense exercise done occasionally. Third, all 5 have dietary patterns based on whole, minimally processed foods with lots of vegetables, legumes, and healthy fats. While the specific foods vary, the pattern is consistent: real food eaten in reasonable portions rather than the processed, calorie-dense, nutrient-poor foods that dominate Western diets. Simply by eating locally, and normally in these countries, you adopt a healthier dietary pattern. Fourth, all 5 have slower paces of life with less emphasis on constant productivity and achievement. There's more emphasis on enjoying life, nurturing relationships, and being present rather than always rushing to the next thing. This reduction in chronic stress has profound effects on health, affecting everything from cardiovascular function to immune system to cognitive health. Fifth, All five offer practical affordability advantages that reduce financial stress. Whether through low absolute costs, like Nicaragua, reasonable costs relative to quality of life, like Costa Rica and Portugal, or efficient use of money through healthy lifestyle, like Japan, these countries allow you to live better on less money than in expensive Western countries. Financial stress is a major contributor to poor health in older adults, and removing that stress allows your body and mind to function better. Now, let's address some practical considerations if you're seriously considering relocating to one of these countries for your later years. First, you need to think carefully about healthcare. All five countries have healthcare systems, but they vary significantly in quality and accessibility. Japan has world-class healthcare. Portugal has good healthcare within the EU system. Costa Rica has decent healthcare. Greece's healthcare system is strained but functional. Nicaragua has basic healthcare. You need to understand what's available where you're considering moving and whether it meets your needs, especially if you have chronic conditions requiring ongoing care. Health insurance is another consideration. Some countries have systems that allow foreigners to buy into national health care. Some require private insurance. Some are affordable enough that you can pay out of pocket for most care. You need to research this carefully and factor insurance costs into your budget planning. Also consider what happens if you need specialized care or major procedures that might require traveling to a larger city or even back to your home country. Visa and residency requirements vary enormously across these countries. Some have straightforward retirement visas requiring proof of income or savings. Others require more complex processes. Some allow relatively easy entry but make long-term residence difficult. Some require you to leave periodically and re-enter. You need to understand the specific requirements for your nationality and situation and be prepared for bureaucratic frustration. Hiring lawyers or facilitators who specialize in expat issues can make these processes much smoother. Language is a significant consideration. In all five countries, speaking the local language dramatically improves your quality of life and ability to integrate into the community. English proficiency varies, with Japan having low English proficiency, Portugal having moderate English especially among younger people and in tourist areas, and the Latin American countries having varying levels. You can survive speaking only English in most of these places, especially in areas with established expat communities, but you'll be limiting your experience and making life harder than necessary. Invest in language learning before and after you move. Social integration versus expat bubbles is another question you'll need to navigate. Most of these countries have areas with established expat communities where you can live largely in English-speaking bubbles with other foreigners. This has advantages for ease of transition and immediate social connections, but it also means you're not really experiencing the local culture or gaining the full benefits of integration. On the other hand, trying to immediately fully integrate into a foreign culture where you don't speak the language can be isolating and overwhelming. Most people find that a balance works best, connecting with expat communities for support and English language socializing, while also making efforts to learn the language, make local friends, and participate in local community life. Financial planning requires careful thought. Can you access your pension or retirement funds while living abroad? What are the tax implications both in your home country and your new country? How will you transfer money and what fees will you incur? What happens to your finances if exchange rates shift? These aren't insurmountable problems, but they require planning and professional advice. Many people maintain bank accounts and financial relationships in their home country while also establishing local banking in their new country. Test before you commit is probably the single best advice I can give. Don't sell everything and move permanently to a country based on a one-week vacation. Spend extended time, ideally several months, living in the place you're considering. Rent an apartment in a local neighborhood rather than staying in tourist hotels. Shop at local markets. Use local transportation. Try to live as you would if you moved there permanently. This will give you a much more realistic sense of what daily life would actually be like and whether you can adapt to the challenges along with enjoying the benefits. Have a backup plan. Moving abroad for retirement or later life is an adventure, but things don't always work out as expected. Political situations change, personal circumstances change. Health needs evolve. You might discover that you hate the climate or can't adapt to the culture. Don't burn all your bridges or put yourself in a position where you can't return home if needed. Maintain some financial flexibility and some connections in your home country. Many successful expats split their time, spending parts of the year in their adopted country and parts back home, getting the best of both worlds. Let's talk about some potential challenges and downsides, because I don't want to paint an unrealistically rosy picture. Living abroad in your later years isn't all sunshine and sangria. Culture shock is real and can be intense, especially if you've never lived abroad before. Things that seem charming on vacation can become frustrating in daily life. The language barrier can be isolating. Bureaucracy can be maddening. You'll miss family and friends back home. You might feel like you never fully belong in your adopted country, while also feeling increasingly disconnected from your home country. Healthcare concerns intensify as you age. Even if healthcare is good in your adopted country, you might need specialized care that requires traveling or returning home. Medical emergencies abroad can be stressful and complicated. If you have chronic conditions requiring ongoing management, you need to ensure you can access appropriate care consistently. Many older expats eventually return to their home countries specifically because healthcare needs become too complex to manage abroad. Political and economic instability is a consideration in some of these countries. Nicaragua has ongoing political issues. Greece went through a severe economic crisis. Costa Rica and Portugal are stable, but not immune to regional or global disruptions. When you live in a country where you're not a citizen and don't have deep roots, you're potentially vulnerable if serious instability occurs. Having backup plans and financial flexibility can mitigate these risks, but not eliminate them entirely. Social isolation is a real risk if you don't successfully build new social networks. Moving abroad severs your existing social connections, and building new ones in a foreign culture where you might not speak the language fluently is challenging. Some people thrive and build rich social lives. Others struggle and end up lonely and isolated, which completely defeats the purpose and negates the health benefits. Honestly assessing your own social skills and willingness to put yourself out there is important before making such a move. The permanence question looms for many older expats. If you move abroad in your 60s, what happens in your 80s if your health declines significantly? Do you return to your home country where you might have better access to family and healthcare systems you understand? Do you stay in your adopted country even as capabilities decline? These aren't easy questions, and different people answer them differently. Some people plan to age in place in their adopted country. Others view their expat years as a chapter in later life rather than a permanent move. There's no right answer, but thinking about these questions ahead of time helps. Now I want to share some success factors I've observed among people who thrive in these countries versus those who struggle or return home disappointed. The people who do best tend to share certain characteristics and approaches. They're flexible and adaptable, able to roll with frustrations and unexpected challenges rather than needing everything to work exactly as expected. They're genuinely curious about other cultures rather than just looking for cheap versions of their home country lifestyle. They're willing to learn new languages even if imperfectly. They're proactive about building social connections rather than expecting friendships to just happen. They have realistic expectations about both the benefits and the challenges. They maintain good humor and perspective when things go wrong, as they inevitably will sometimes. People who struggle or end up returning home often fall into a few patterns. They're looking for a fantasy rather than a real place, disappointed when reality doesn't match their idealized vision. They're not willing to adapt to local culture and constantly complain about how things were better back home. They're not proactive about learning language or building relationships, then feel isolated and blame the country. They underestimate how much they'll miss family, friends, and familiar culture. They have health issues that are difficult to manage abroad and didn't adequately plan for this. Understanding your own personality, capabilities, and priorities is essential. Are you genuinely adventurous and adaptable, or do you prefer familiarity and routine? Do you actually enjoy meeting new people and building relationships, or are you more introverted and comfortable with solitude? How important is being near family, especially grandchildren? How's your health? And what are your realistic future healthcare needs? How flexible are your finances if unexpected expenses arise? Honest self-assessment will help you decide if expat life is right for you and which country might be the best fit. Let me share one more story that I think captures both the possibilities and the realities. I know a man named Tom from Manchester who moved to a small city in Portugal at age 67 after his wife died. He was looking for a new chapter, something different, an adventure to give meaning to his remaining years. The first year was incredibly difficult. He was grieving, adjusting to a foreign culture, struggling with Portuguese, feeling lonely and questioning his decision. He almost gave up and returned to Manchester several times. But Tom persisted. He hired a tutor and dedicated himself to learning Portuguese. He joined a local hiking group and pushed himself to attend even when he felt like staying home. He volunteered at a community garden. Slowly, painfully, he built a new life. 3 years later, Tom is thriving. He's conversational in Portuguese. He has a close group of both expat and Portuguese friends. He's dating a Portuguese woman he met through his hiking group. He hikes regularly in the stunning Portuguese countryside. His health is excellent, much better than it was in Manchester. He's found purpose and meaning and joy that he didn't think possible after his wife's death. Tom's story illustrates an important truth. Successful expat life in later years rarely happens instantly or easily. There's usually a difficult transition period where you question your decision and struggle with loss, change, and adjustment. But for those who push through that difficult period with persistence, flexibility, and good humor, the rewards can be extraordinary. You can reinvent your life. You can experience your later years with vitality and engagement rather than decline and isolation. You can discover capabilities and joys you didn't know were possible. So what's the bottom line? Is the 60-20 protocol real? Can you actually experience your 60s more like your 40s by moving to one of these countries? The answer is a qualified yes. Moving to Costa Rica, Japan, Greece, Portugal, or Nicaragua won't magically reverse aging or guarantee perfect health. But these countries offer combinations of diet, lifestyle, activity, social connection, climate, and culture that create conditions where healthy aging is not just possible, but normal. Where 60-year-olds routinely have the physical capability, mental sharpness, and life engagement of people 20 years younger in many Western countries. The transformation isn't automatic. You can't just show up and expect miracles. You need to adapt to local lifestyle patterns. You need to eat local foods. You need to walk and move as part of daily life. You need to build social connections. You need to embrace the culture rather than trying to recreate your previous life on the cheap. But if you do these things, if you genuinely integrate into the rhythms and patterns of life in these places, your body and mind will respond. Energy increases, inflammation decreases, sleep improves, mood stabilizes, physical capability improves or at least declines much more slowly, and you experience your later years with a vitality that wouldn't have been possible in your home country. These 5 countries offer something precious, the possibility of aging differently, of experiencing your 60s, 70s, and beyond as an active, engaged, meaningful chapter of life, rather than a slow decline into irrelevance, of discovering that the limitations you've accepted as inevitable consequences of aging are actually largely consequences of Western lifestyle and culture, of learning that when you change your environment and lifestyle, your body and mind respond by functioning better. Whether you actually move to one of these countries or not, understanding that aging works differently in different contexts can be liberating. You're not destined for decline. Your later years aren't predetermined. You have agency and choices. You can create conditions that support healthy aging wherever you are. You can adopt dietary patterns that support health. You can build strong social connections. You can find purpose and meaning. You can stay physically active. You can reduce stress and enjoy life. But if you're really serious about experiencing the 60-20 protocol, about turning back the clock on aging through environment and lifestyle rather than drugs and procedures, these 5 countries offer something special. They offer proven combinations of factors that support extraordinarily healthy aging. They offer cultures that value older adults. They offer lifestyles that naturally promote health. They offer the possibility of living your later years with vitality, purpose, and joy. So here's to aging differently. Here's to 60 feeling like 40. Here's to countries where aging seems to have stopped not through medical miracles, but through the simple magic of healthy lifestyle, strong community, good food, constant movement, lower stress, and cultural frameworks that see older adults as valuable contributors rather than burdens to manage. And here's to you, whatever your age, knowing that your later years can be an adventure rather than a decline, an opportunity rather than an ending, and that somewhere in the world, people are living proof that aging is far more flexible than we've been led to believe. Whether you book a ticket to San Jose, Tokyo, Athens, Lisbon, or Managua, or whether you simply take inspiration from these cultures to age more healthily wherever you are, I hope this deep dive has shown you that 60 doesn't have to be the beginning of the end. It can be the beginning of a whole new chapter, one potentially filled with more vitality, purpose, and joy than you've experienced in decades. The only question is whether you're ready to turn the page. Yasas, sayonara, pura vida, ate logo, adios, and I'll see you on the road.